Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, we are almost there. Stream is fighting me today. It's worked pretty well for Sledge, but and it worked for me when I went on Sledge's show. But yeah, it is wanting to fight me on my iPhone camera a little bit. It's a Mac Mini, so there's no built-in webcam, and I don't want to have to switch over to my other computer. Thanks for your patience. You're very understanding. But yeah, I can multitask. Seeing if anyone wanted to get some questions into the chat. Thought today's topic would be status, hotel, airline status. I just made a video about Hyatt, so I've been pretty steeped in that world. Hope y'all Sunday is going well so far. Again, thanks for being here and thanks for your patience. Let's see. I might have to restart Restream. Rodrigo's asking if I'm going to maintain AA status. Kind of. Yeah, I think I'm going to be transitioning to Alaska. And I'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, there's quite a few threads on that. But I'm going to relaunch Restream. Hopefully this doesn't drop the feed totally. Wish me luck. Nice. All right. Nice. We did it, guys. All right. One moment. Okay. Let's get these comments back up. Let's see. Comment window just went away. There we are. Sweet. Welcome, Mike, Rodrigo, Vincent, John R. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yeah, right on, right on, right on. Better late than never. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Glad to have you all here. And this is actually my first solo live stream. I've done like 3 or 4 with other creators over the last year, and appreciate y'all's support. Yeah, it's been really encouraging. It's I'm sure those of you who make videos, you understand it's a lot of thankless work. But it's for love of the hobby. Honestly, I'm doing this because there's only so much I can keep bugging my friends and family about this, and but I got to talk to someone about it. So it's nice to have a community around this. And to those of you who I haven't met in person yet, I was at the NOLA meetup last year. I do plan to go to the Puerto Rico one. Hope y'all can make it out. That should be really fun time. There's Dennis. Dennis in the building. Good to have you, sir. Hope y'all having a good Sunday. Yeah. Oh, there's Yitzy. Yeah. Nice. The whole band is back together. Let me get to Rodrigo. Yeah. I feel like I've seen you in some of my videos comments, and he's asking me if I'm going to maintain AA status. So real quick, I worked on AA status last year. Long story short, it was a huge pain in the ass, but it's kind of worth it with a big asterisk. Um, of course, it's worth it just for the educational value and this hobby. It's like, yeah, I felt like I was getting a little bit bored, I suppose. Um, I know there's higher value plays. I consume a lot of content and I see these super rad trips that others are taking. And the reality is I have to do more domestic travel than I think I would otherwise choose to do. And like for me, that's cool. I'm making the best of it. And so, status is helpful for domestic travel. Is it worth it? That's a big maybe. But yeah, so to answer your question, Rodrigo, I earned executive platinum AA status last year. Uh, I'll be lucky to hit platinum pro this year. I think that platinum pro, the second from the highest, is probably no, certainly is the sweet spot. Like the effort to reward ratio is much much better with that second to highest for a number of reasons. So I'm going to try to hit that again. I am on track to hit that again for this year, meaning that would qualify me through the end of next year. But here's the rub: like I've pretty much decided I want to actually work on Alaska status instead, because I think it would be more fun and a little bit less work to do. I think that the AA status chasing it's a lot of work, but it's valuable because the mileage earned, the redeemable miles earned to the spend and effort you put in is pretty good. I think that's the piece that most people miss when they're talking about how status isn't worth it. Like, yeah, playing the game according to the conventional way that these programs lay out for you, following all the rules to a T. It's like that really only works if someone else is paying your bills. And if it is, you don't really have to think about it that much. But for those of us who are like wanting to know how this fits into the points and miles game, I think that's a very different discussion. And I think that's a piece that's missing from our hobby. Like, honestly, I see other creators who otherwise are doing amazing things and who are making great content who kind of write it off dismissively. And I get that for them, it's not that helpful. but I feel like part of that is because there's a huge bias, rightly so, towards international travel. And I love traveling abroad. I would do it more. I'm not in a position where I can do it more than once or twice a year right now. So, in the in between, trying to make the domestic travel game be as fun and enjoyable as it can be, which it's not. It's not. So that's kind of my project for next year, and I like Alaska a lot. It helps that I'm on the West Coast, and that's something AA is not. So I feel like, I've been getting AA status to help with flying Alaska, and it does. It's kind of a great two for one, But if ultimately your interest is more like getting upgrades on Alaska, I think that ultimately learning that game would probably be more efficient, especially with the changes they've made, particularly like earning towards status on flying partner airlines using miles. That's awesome. They're the only ones that do that, and so then you can have both. Then you can have your ball and trip to Europe or Asia or wherever, and earn towards Alaska status, even though you're flying on a different carrier. Like that's pretty crazy to me. So yeah, and they're a great product too. Like for domestic travel, their product to Central America, I go there a lot, is great. And especially when you're going to Costa Rica, it's a small country. There's just not as many options. Anyway, back to the questions. What's up? What's up? Yitsy's wondering, upgrade CSP to CSR. That's $1 million question right now. I don't know. I have the CSR because it's grandfathered in. I'm gonna have to see how I do with it this year to see if it's worth. Um, I feel like I'm disappointed. I think that getting like outsized value from this card has gotten a little bit harder, and that it's I think it's possible. I'm just wondering if I'm up for it. There's too many other cards to optimize, but I am Team Hyatt for now, and so therefore, yeah, like I got to earn UR points, and all the coupons get in the way. For me, it's like, okay, they're incentivizing me using the edit, I guess. Like, oh, you're using the edit, and so therefore hopefully whatever hotel you're staying at, you're also getting elite benefits, so maybe that works out. I don't want to be closed-minded, but then I'm hearing how the hotels are overpriced through the portal. No one else is talking also about how Chase just nerfed their 10x. You were getting 10x on hotels through CSR, which was great. And even then, I wasn't using it that much because I've mostly been staying at chain hotels. I have co-branded cards already, so I don't stay at that many boutique hotels. But now it's going from 10 to 8. So I don't know. The only thing I am excited about is the 8x for travel portals. But I'll tell you, like, I'm getting over it. I've been using it with Amex, like with the Biz Plat. That is a great superpower especially for domestic travel, is getting that 50% rebate with only your selected airline, of course. Um, you know, I think that's, I don't know if I would do it. I think I would just book direct and take the 4X UR, even though I need Chase points. So yeah, I hear Uncle Luke when he talks about how people are trashing the portals. Like, portals are fine, but yeah, it's making changes is a pain. You got to call up Amex, and if you make the change through United, then Amex loses control over it, and then you have to make further changes through United, which might be fine, but then the way that you recapture that credit, if it's a non-refundable fare, it gets kind of convoluted. And already I'm just stressing out about it. Like, oh, I did all this just to get an extra like 100 Chase points on my booking or whatever it ends up being. So it's, yeah. So anyway, I don't know if that I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, time will tell. I think that the easy answer though is like, this makes me love the Ink Preferred even more, and I really hope they don't touch that card. Please, Chase, can you throw us a bone? All right. Cesar en la casa, bienvenido. Who else? Yeah. Dennis, status only works if it's on regular spend. Yeah, I think what you're getting at is like, I make a big point of saying like status should be earned organically. Uh, I'm not doing that with Hyatt though. But I feel like once you put in that initial effort and you got that momentum going, then yeah, with a few caveats, it is easier to sort of maintain that train going once you've got it going. Once you got your foot in the door, it's like maintaining globalist status is much easier than hitting it the first time. But yeah, it's still a hamster wheel. Don't get me wrong. And like it's still just a big experiment. I'm still staying at least a couple IHGs and Hiltons every year, and at least one Marriott. So um, yeah, for me, actually, right now, the mattress runs are a way of like getting enough elite nights so I don't feel pressured quite as much to stay at a Hyatt that's out of the way, that's not convenient, or is not as good of a value as an IHG or something else. You'd see any way to transfer miles and more to book Lufthansa. I don't know. I use Points. Yeah, a lot is a pretty good search tool. I use that. I think it's a good companion for Seats.aero. And I've noticed that Points. Yeah, often shows a lot of search results for Lufthansa, and also interestingly for Virgin Australia. Uh, and yeah, it seems like you can book United with Virgin Australia, but there's really no way for us to get points into that system. I don't know why they show that. I wish there was a way to turn that off by default, because that's the first thing I do in points. Yeah, is like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to filter out Lufthansa. I'm filtering out Virgin Australia because I don't have any way of using those. How long before we get an Alaska devaluation? Yeah, I don't know. I, you know, I'm gonna I'm gonna optimistically, and I'm gonna knock on wood. I'm not that superstitious, so I'm knocking on wood for this. You know, Frequent Miler, I watch all their stuff, and they're very bullish on Alaska. They think that because they've made a lot of recent changes, that they're unlikely to roll out some big change of any kind, including devaluations. So I hope that's the case. I think that they seem to value their rewards program. Like they have the users in mind and making that like user friendly for those of us who are in this hobby. I think that's awesome. Like Air France does that. And they do that because they team up with people in the industry, and so they make it a better, more user friendly program for those of us who um, we want user friendliness. We're not just on autopilot expensing it to the corporate expense account where you don't really have to think about anything. For us, like we're doing this for ourselves, and so we want a user friendly program. It's not just the perks and benefits. It's like we want to see the value. It should be clear value, and in my opinion, it should be something that you otherwise wouldn't get. Right? I mean, the sort of conventional wisdom is why get status when you can just book the product you want? You want first class, pay for first class. And I'd say, yeah, that is generally true. Um, and it's like when you need help, like when something goes wrong and you get stranded, you miss your connection or whatever. Uh, any little advantage helps. So it's not just about having like a more luxurious experience. It's about having a more relaxed and reliable experience and sort of trusting that brand. And like any brand can have a meltdown. Like I really like Southwest, but look at that huge meltdown they had. That's I've heard some people talk about they think that's why Southwest is in the position they're in now. Where they're trying to be more like a conventional carrier. They seem to be kind of losing their way. And I don't know. Some people said that tipping point started when they had that huge operational meltdown. I don't know. It makes you wonder. But I think Alaska, I like what they're doing. I think that maybe they're not as exciting for people who are on the East Coast. But then again, look at Frequent Miler. Those guys are East Coasters, and they love the Alaska program. And they've got status now through Alaska, even though they never fly Alaska Metal. And so, I think it can be beneficial. The biggest example is flying economy internationally. You can go into the business and sometimes first class lounges. I did that myself in Japan at the Haneda airport. I went to the first class lounge, and yeah, it blows away any lounge I've ever been in the U.S. So I value hotel status provided with some cards. I wouldn't do a crazy mattress run for Hyatt status, and I don't worry about airline status. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the way I think that works for most people in most cases. I think for me, the only reason I'm doing this mattress run, and I talked about in this video I just put up a couple days ago. I live very close to the Rio Hotel. San Francisco to Las Vegas. It's a short, easy flight. I'm flush with a lot of miles right now, including Alaska miles. Like so, for example, I can get to Vegas each way, not all the time, but if I hunt around for 5,000 miles each way. And then if I at the Rio, I can find something for $50 a night, and I'm getting 3,000 bonus points plus all the base points and everything else. My net cost essentially is zero. If you factor in that I'm buying points on a discount, then the elite nights are just the gravy on top. You know what I mean? So yeah, it takes time and effort, but I think the Rio is kind of a fun place. I mean, Vegas in the summer is brutal. So if I am doing that in the summer, like honestly, I don't stay there the whole time. But when you go in the spring or something like that, then the weather's nice. And I'm not a gambler. I'm not the typical like person who would be into Vegas, I guess. But I still enjoy hanging out there. There's good food and interesting, funky parts of the city. So I make it in. It's like mattress run, so it's work, but it's not really work. I'm enjoying myself, and the value is there in my case. So I think you can make it work, but yeah, if that's going to be applicable to someone else, maybe only if you feel really motivated to try it. Rodrigo wants those no lifetime language links. Yeah, yeah. I've been pretty happy with the membership rewards program. Um, Yeah, I've been able to open multiple cards that I really didn't think I would be able to, which I'm happy for because I'm pretty much always in pop-up jail for any personal cards. So for this reason, I think for example, I'm not going to get the Marriott Brilliant card. I've been wanting to try out that card, even though it's I think it's an appropriate top end card for Marriott. It's like put a lot of money and work into it for kind of tenuous benefits. I don't know. But then again, if you guys just watched Uncle Luke's video about Hilton, I don't know. I mean, is the benefit at least with Hilton, you're getting that free breakfast, right? Marriott, you don't even know. You got to pull out your whole instruction manual for every property and whether you're going to get at that point. I'm just like, all right, where's the cafe around the corner? I'll spend my $5 and get a croissant. Filmo's losing 5 grand. Yeah, I'm sorry. We got Dennis. The credit click. Did you mean like click, like CLIQUE, like the gang, or click because you wrote click? That's like the mouse click. I'm assuming you meant like a gang. Yeah. Credit gang represent. Cesar, we were just talking about Puerto Rico, and appreciate your help on finding that Hilton property. It's another perfect example. Like, yeah, the meetup is right by the Hyatt, and I actually did book it, but then I decided that I would rather stay in Old Town. That looks like more my speed, even though it's what like a 20-minute walk from uh, from where the meetup is going to be. But I thought it was a more interesting property. It's the Palacio, which is part of I guess, the Tapestry collection. So kind of like a boutique style mid range property, and yeah, it just looks like more interesting. But the value, yeah, for the two Hyatts there is it's great value. Seems to be kind of high season, and hotels are a little pricey around that time in November. Apparently, maybe it's because it's like Veterans Day weekend. So I'm actually getting some of the best value on points for my Hilton stay, especially because I'm using that fifth night free, which is clutch. And like Hyatt House, Hyatt Place they're never exciting, and not that you always need exciting. You can get amazing value from those brands, depending on where you're going, especially high cost of living areas. But yeah, the one that's in the more walkable area, like I like that I can. Yeah, I'm just trying to catch myself that I'm not like overly loyal to the point where my experiences, my trips aren't as fun as they would be otherwise. He's asking between the two virgins. Yeah. I think they might have they're affiliated through the same parent company, but are otherwise completely independent. So they're part of different alliances, and you can't book one with the other. So for all intents and purposes, they're two different airlines, and they're in two different alliances. Filmo wants to see an East Coast branch of Rio. I'm not an expert. Like, I don't know if like Atlantic City, might see something like that. But to me, the Rio is like it's quintessential Vegas. Not that you couldn't recreate that somewhere else, but I think it's kind of a fluke that they were brought under the umbrella of Hyatt. Um, because it's not like any other Hyatt. It's not like any other hotel, like just the whole feel, and it's a property that's been there a really long time. It's got that kind of classic. I mean, even the name seems to be named after that whole like bossa nova era, like late 60s, like Frank Sinatra kind of deal. So it's got that sort of old kitschy charm. And I don't know. I mean, I think that would be a lot of work to recreate that somewhere else, but that is the spirit of Vegas, right? Like let's recreate the Eiffel Tower and Statue of Liberty, whatever else. Rodrigo wants to know, would I do a timeshare? Probably not. I don't know. I get the ick when I hear timeshare. I just kind of like, I don't know. Eh. Say sorry, you booked a good property. Yeah, the pictures look pretty great for the Palacio. The cash rates are expensive, and somehow, mercifully, the points rate is not. I'm happy to see that because it's not a high end. It's like definitely mid range, but like usually I've only seen that kind of value at the high end. Filmo lost 5K at the Rio in 2000s. Cesar says the Hyatts are good and cheap, convenient, but nothing fancy. Yeah, I said this on one of Anthony's lives. I said, hey, we don't talk enough about like how was your sleep, like how was the mattress. Uh, Honestly, I mean that's the first thing I do when I go to Google reviews for a place I haven't stayed at. I'll go into Google Maps and I'll bring up reviews, search bar, and the first thing I type is like mattress or bed or like noise, because yeah, it's like you read most of these reviews, and we really liked Samantha at the front desk. She made us feel we were so important, and the shrimp tacos around the corner were the best tacos I've ever had. I'm just like, I don't know, this isn't helping me. Come on, come on. Like, did you sleep? Like, I don't know. Like, am I the only one who, I don't know. Maybe I'm like kind of a homebody. I don't know. I have this dichotomy where I love to travel, but it's also I recognize like, yeah, being in lots of new environments, being out of um, your familiar zone, I don't always sleep as efficiently, and so that's something I look at. But yeah, that's all to say that when you're staying at certain brands that are not fancy, it's like okay, but at least most of the time, not always, most of the time, like of the 8 Hyatt places I've stayed at least 6 of them I thought I got like a pretty good sleep at. So I'll take those odds for a budget property at 75%. Cesar likes the Holiday Inn Express mattresses. All right, I've got a pro tip for y'all. So Amsterdam, uh, awesome city, and it's super, super touristy. And I think we kind of saw the example of that from Anthony's video, right? Like Greece, at least in comparison to Italy, is it's less touristy, and there's a lot of benefits to that. Amsterdam, though, you got to kind of thread that needle a little bit. So the Holiday Inn Express is money there. It feels much more like a mid-range kind of property. Feels like more like an Indigo that you would go to here. Much nicer than the Holiday Inn Expresses I've been to domestically. And it's in a very not touristy area, but also very easy to get to the center. And yeah, awesome value. And yeah, that fourth night free was clutch. So I got one of my best redemptions, actually, was using IHG points at the Holiday Inn Express Amsterdam. I think there's more than one. So this was the one that's north of the river, if you can remember that. But yeah, go in April. There's a lot fewer tourists, like kind of on that shoulder season. Don't go in August. Sleep Beauty Recharge. All right. Caesar's ahead of me on this one. He knows the brands of the mattresses that they're using. Filmo, Hyatt strengths are at the lower end brands. You know what you're getting. They always deliver. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've only been at one Hyatt place that I really didn't like, but everyone that I've been to, and I've been to them in a lot of locations. I was at one in Cologne, Germany on my trip. I was going to see an old band that I've loved since I was a little kid. It's called Depeche Mode. It's like this electronic rock band, and uh, I got lucky last year, and I found United Polaris seats on the way there. Booked with Avianca Life Miles, and I came back on KLM nonstop back to San Francisco. Both of those were amazing experiences, incredible redemptions with the value that I got on points. And but yeah, Cologne is like 3 hours south of Amsterdam, and I stayed at a Hyatt place there, which was like there. That one was like category one, and yeah, that was probably the best value I've ever gotten for points. Actually, maybe even certainly with hotels. I mean, I don't know. I for category one, whatever it was, I think I was paying 5,000 points a night for the 2 nights I was there. It was nuts. Probably would have been like 200 euro a night. So what is that? Like 10,000 points for 400 euro. It's like 4 cents, around 4 cents per point, something like that. So Sarah's going to Amsterdam in April. See, right? What was I saying? Yeah, yeah. All right, BRB. I'm gonna get myself some agua. I momentarily disabled my camera. D-Mace, Cesar, so tell us more about this trip. What you going to be doing in Amsterdam? By the way, I recommend. I went to 2 other cities near there. One was called Haarlem. I don't know how you pronounce it, but there's 2 A's, so it's. I'm assuming that's the one in Manhattan, New York City. That's named after that, I'm sure. But it's that, but with 2 A's. That city is really cool. And I also went to Utrecht or Utrecht, however you say that, with a U. That one, it's pretty close to Amsterdam, and it's kind of felt like a mini Amsterdam, but with like a quarter of the tourists. Things are a lot less busy and expensive, but still like tons and tons of stuff to do, things to see. But yeah, money went a little bit further, which was nice. And yeah, I like to get away from the crowds. I don't know. Like I want to be somewhere that's lively, but it doesn't feel like it's just kind of overrun. You know, I don't know. I don't like feeling like I'm at Disneyland. You know what I mean? Yeah, Cesar says he couldn't find any Hyatt. Yeah, I remember that, at least in Amsterdam. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the US chains they're not quite as widespread in Europe as far as I can tell. I'm still learning the chain hotel game. I mean, I've really only been, I'm more experienced on the the points and miles side and a little newer to hotels. I was kind of like a diehard Airbnb stayer for a while. I've got all these Wyndham points. I was hoping to use them for Vacasa, but that hasn't worked out. I've heard that there's some good all inclusives in Central America and Mexico, so we'll see. I know that Alaska. I'm always seeing these deals to like 6 or 7 different destinations in Mexico on Alaska. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. If y'all know a good spot to go that Alaska flies to in Mexico, or even if they don't, yeah, let me know what you like because I've heard that's the best way to use your Wyndham points. Because I haven't been able to use any, and I know they expire after 4 years. I got like 150K Wyndham points I got to burn. Yeah, John wants to go to Amsterdam next year. Yeah, I mean the cool thing is there's I had no idea that it was such a hub for East Coast, or not East, just for U.S. Nonstops from U.S. airports. Tons of stuff, and yeah, KLM is awesome because the product is great and the program is great. Right? Usually, you get one or the other. I don't know. I don't know if that's too much of a generalization, but yeah, KLM was great. I saw that a lot of their Europe awards just came back. So Frequent Miler's latest episode on Friday, they talked about how for several months now they were finding nothing. Um, Honestly, yeah, I'm hoping to go to Portugal and Spain next year. I actually just found a flight to London because I was using Seats.aero and I just used Europe, and I was like, hey, show me all the business class flights from West Coast to Europe. And so the best thing I found was actually on AA to London, booked with Alaska Miles. It's not nonstop though. It's the only catch. It does stop in New York, which is not ideal because I probably won't. The flights aren't long enough to really get enough sleep on. Um, but yeah, it was too good of a deal not to. So he saw, yeah, he saw a Waldorf. I went to that Waldorf. It was nice. I walked in just to have lunch and to check it out and to use my Hilton Aspire credit, which did code, so I was able to get some of that $200 biannual credits eating lunch at the Waldorf, and it was expensive, but it wasn't too crazy. But they had no availability. I had a free night cert. I was searching and searching, and yeah, that seems to be a pretty popular property, but it's small. I think that could be something to do with it. Doubletree. Yeah, Doubletrees. I stayed at a Doubletree in Kyoto, and that was a fantastic value. Absolutely great value. Filmo stay at the Ondas in Amsterdam. Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Okay, that's jogging my memory. Yeah, I don't remember why I didn't book that. There was this one boutique hotel that I saw that was a little pricey, but it was started by some like eccentric like shipbuilding company owner in the 1700s, and so all the rooms are like decked out in all of this like one of a kind art and museum pieces, and each room is like a totally custom room, and with this like crazy nautical theme. So I don't know. It was actually, I mean, I know that sounds kind of cheesy when I say that, but yeah, it's like, okay, I got to use that Venture X credit just renewed, so something like that. John R. Yeah, get trouble in Amsterdam. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I mean, Amsterdam. It's like it has that sort of underbelly to it, but it's in that very Dutch way where it's like I kind of feel like you have to go looking for trouble there. Not that I'm a big partier, but yeah, the vibe just didn't seem quite as like heavy and toxic as I've seen in other places that are there's a lot of focus on vice. And you know um I don't know, I think that's an interesting thing. That's part of what makes Amsterdam what it is. And um I think I saw a little bit more of that when I was younger, when I first went there, like touring the red light district and all of that. But yeah, I don't know, I think my travel needs have gotten a little bit more wholesome. Like I'm looking for like the fancy hipster coffee and public parks. Like I'm a big bird watcher, and I like learning the new birds in each place that I go. And and just learning about the local culture, trying to trying to meet people and trying not to be too much of a tourist, like more like traveler, like in that sort of like Anthony Bourdain kind of vibe. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't I don't have an issue with being a tourist, but I just don't want to be like a tourist, if that makes sense. Kimpton, yeah, like those Kimptons. IHG it's underrated. John says behaving is boring. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't I can't argue with that. I've never been one for following rules. William William says bye. Okay. Peace out. So you started no availability using points for high in Amsterdam, at least for April, but we'll keep trying. Need to burn some Hyatt points. Yeah. If you make it to Cologne, Germany, uh, I liked Cologne a lot. It's really close. I want to say it's the closest like major city to. So if you're doing kind of a tour of the area, yeah, check out there's actually a couple Hyatt places in uh central Cologne that you could use your Hyatt points. But yeah, you're going all the way there. Like stay at the best property you can that fits your needs. But yeah, I know what you mean. Got to cash out those Wyndham points. Should we talk about this Sapphire refresh a little bit? I feel like I don't know, didn't want to open Pandora's box, but that is the subject du jour. I did find it hilarious how Amex was trying to steal their thunder, like right during the launch. Like, hey guys, us too, we're gonna be doubling down. Filmo's over it, waiting for the CSR nonsense. IHG Biz, yeah. So man, I've been using all of my restraint to garden. I'm finally going to be out of 524 at the end of the year. I don't open anything else first. The only thing I think I might open is if B of A launches that new Alaska mid-range card. I might get it, but only because it would only push out my 524 an extra month. But I've been waiting now. There's a lot of Chase cards I want to get. I want to get the Air Canada card. I want to get the personal IHG card because I want to get two, not just one. It'd be great to have two free night certs to use each year. And I'd like to get the World of Hyatt business card just for the sub and then cancel it. I'm overdue for a Sapphire bonus. It's been over 4 years. So that would be one. Like, be nice to start getting some UR points. I've been maxing out my P2. She's over it. She's over the ink train. Doesn't want to carry around more than one credit card, and I don't blame her. CSR talk. All right, getting popcorn. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny how kind of a controversial card. Yeah, okay, 520 before. So yeah, okay. So I think this is arguably the most interesting and maybe the biggest change to come from all of this is actually the shuffling of the terms of getting bonuses. And I want to be optimistic because like I was just talking about all the Chase cards I want to get, and half of those I want to get not necessarily for the sub. And the irony is that if I didn't care about 524, then I would just open them, right? Like I could just open what cards I want and not have to, I don't know, like because what other issuers are sensitive to Chase? I mean, I know Barclays, they're definitely like their recon there is no recon as far as I could tell. No one gets reconned at Barclays, and so they seem to have like a 624. I don't know what other issuers have like a strict limit. I mean, I know they're looking for velocity. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if you have good credit, and especially if you're willing to open a card without a sub, like why should the banks care? Like, so I think that it's cool that, I mean, the only card I've ever done that for was the Aspire, and I kind of regret doing it because yeah, like I'm realizing how valuable those 524 spots are. It's like I could have waited an extra year to get an Aspire. I really could have, but I didn't because it's like, yeah, wanted to be able to try out Diamond. And is Diamond better than Gold? I don't know. I don't know if it is, honestly. Not caring about 524 is glorious. Yeah, I hope that's what happens. But I feel like if they pop up jail everyone the same that Amex is, then I get worried, right? Because Chase doesn't have all of these no lifetime language links. I don't think that'll be a thing. That's a very specific Amex thing, there's only so much Chase can copy Amex here. Let's be real. So I think the trend with Chase is they're getting stingier with subs. Unlike Amex, which just keeps cranking up the heat. And the cool thing about that is that, I think it's harder for a transferable point to devalue, right? Because there's so many different transfer programs. So unless those ratios change, which I suppose they could, but that just kind of seems unlikely. It doesn't really seem to happen too often. I'm going to knock on wood as I say that. Filmo, all right, I gotta marinate on this. My take on the change is people who have the CSR now hate it. People who don't have it like it. Okay, I think I'm the exception to that because I've been very happy with my CSR. That's partly because I get a lot of value out of Lyft where I live. So that Lyft Pink membership is pretty clutch for me. But they've already started devaluing that in this last year. Like you no longer get free Lyft Lift Pink now it's half off. Um, you no longer get 10x. That was a big nerf. We used to get 10x UR points on all lift spinning. Now that's down to 5, so that's a big nerf. And worse, the CSP gets 5x. I think the Ink Preferred gets 5. Maybe any chase card? Is that true? Like even the Freedom Flex might get 5. I don't know. But so for me, I was happy. I liked having a one-stop shop, like simple, like a premium travel card that had the simplicity of the Venture X, but had the potential for outsized value of Amex. I thought that Chase like positioned itself like pretty well in that middle, and so I feel like them trying to ape Amex, but just being more annoying about it. Like the edit, it's yeah, I'll take FHR over edit. In its current the way that it's in its current incarnation. Um, I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I feel like Chase kind of jumped the shark. I mean, what they did with these United cards is a huge mess. It's a huge mess. And I just kind of face palmed when I saw most of those changes. Like, oh man. Um, I'm still gonna have one. I'm in a United hub, so I gotta have a United card, fine. But I feel more discouraged having a more premium card of theirs now because it's just unnecessary complexity in my setup. FOMO means he doesn't like the changes. Yeah, don't like or means don't like the changes if they're a current CSR holder. Okay, okay, yeah. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah, because I kind of feel like if you've had the CSR up to this point, you were one who's getting the positive value out of it, despite all of the 5,000 videos on YouTube telling you how the Venture X is easier to get positive value out of. And I feel like we need to do better. I feel like that's something that from when I first started this channel was like, I've been trying to find the words to describe this because I'm trying to focus on things in this space that I feel like is getting missed. Like but to me that's interesting. Like I don't want to just repeat the same analysis that others are doing. I'd rather just let my colleagues do that. But I see the simplicity piece. You know, like I think that we're just all accepting this seemingly inevitable fact that having a more premium card means having more complexity, means being more invested time wise and energy wise. And, you know, um, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I already am doing that with all the different cards. So I don't want one card to take the work of managing 5 different cards just to get an extra couple $100 a year worth of value, because how much more work did I put in, right? It's like, let's say I put an extra 5 hours of work to get $200 of value. Um, that's not a very good return on spend. So I think that's the piece that's missing, and I just think it's unfortunate that we're losing. Um, all of this is making me like the Venture X more. I got to say, which is sad because I don't like Capital One as much as Chase. I don't think their transfer partnerships are as good. There's not as many transfer bonuses. So I'm not about to, at least as long as I'm using Hyatt, I'm probably going to keep staying in the Chase game. But yeah, I'm going to whine a little bit about it. I don't know. I like the CSR as it was. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping I can find a way. I don't, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll try it and maybe it'll work out. L-Man Gaming, welcome to the fray. He put the final nail in the coffin for the CSR. Chase is finished. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I hope they don't dilute their program too much. It's you know I don't think anyone likes churners. We know that. Everyone has their own way of dealing with them, but I don't know. Like I feel like if you're putting the spend on and you're not doing any crazy manufactured spending or whatever, like I don't know. I think it's a give and take. It's a give and take, and I think that we vote for our wallet, and when they kind of force us to spend through these like convoluted credits rather than just incentivizing us through an earning structure that is simple. Like I think that I think that this change, it's ironic to say because I feel like this has been called out quite a lot, but the biggest nerf unquestionably is the 3x travel catch-all. I know I've heard Luke say, well, it doesn't matter as much for him, but it does for me, and I'm willing to bet it does for the vast majority of people who use this card the way it's intended. And yeah, I mean, honestly, how else to call it? It's kind of a slap in the face, like it's because now it's forcing us to do more calculus. Now I'm like, well, wait a minute, should I have the CSP after all? Because I'll get the same travel protections for the most part. I'll get the primary rental insurance, and that's expensive, right? I mean, if you're doing a lot of domestic travel, you're probably renting a lot of cars, and like that's kind of a tough one. And at least being able to get that 3x plus the top tier insurance. I mean, yeah, I've been putting thousands a year in travel expenses that are I would be losing, and so now I've either got to put that through the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve, maybe the Venture X, probably, or the CSP. Because I mean, honestly, yeah, I'd still rather 2x UR points than 2x Capital One points, but and I worry about using the Inc. preferred, right? Because you only get that primary insurance on car rentals, on for business travel, or when traveling internationally, which is cool. But yeah, when I'm traveling abroad, I try not to rent a car anyway if I don't have to, because I mean every other country in the world for the most part is more walkable and metroable and trainable and busable than here. So Venture X made it tough on families and authorized users. But who wants to go to a lounge and see Anthony Venture? Yeah, not me. Get out of here. No, but yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I've in the last like year, even 6 months, I'm definitely noticing a continued surge in the crowd size at Capital One. Like even in Vegas, I've noticed, which it's right by the Amex Lounge. I've been seeing the waits are longer now. I've been getting that, because I'll sign up for both, especially if I don't have much time, and I'll oftentimes get into the Centurion Lounge faster. Um, I just think I think that they could have handled this better, right? Because like, okay, you know, I mean, I can only speak from my perspective, but it's like I would say I do, I don't know, 2/3 solo travel and 1/3 couples travel. And so I don't know. So yeah, I mean, they had the floodgates open. Anyone and your grandma, bring 18 guests, and like, I don't know. And now they're just cutting that off. Like, okay, we all want to reduce lounge overcrowding. We're all in unanimous agreement about that. Uh, and those of us who do solo traveling, like, yeah, I hope I'll get to use the C1 lounge more. That'd be sweet. Um, but yeah, I feel kind of annoyed. That's like, couldn't you at least give like throw me a bone? Like, I don't know, throw us a bone. What about 2 or 3 single use guest passes, right? They could have done that without reducing the effect that the change the change would have been 95% as impactful if they had done that and still allowed those of us who want to bring a guest every now and then, once every couple months or 3 months, like they could have done that. They could have done that. And I think these issuers, they need to like understand what their strengths are. And sure, like this is very typical. Something comes out, it's a lost leader, they're getting their foot in the door, they're building up their brand, and then once they do that and they have more lounges, they figure, okay, now we can I mean, because let's be honest, is it about reducing overcrowding? Uh I mean, sure, that's you know let's be honest, like that's they could build more lounge, they could build them faster, right? I know you could say, well, it takes permitting, it takes a long, like, sure, yeah, I don't know, but um we shouldn't be so quick to let the banks off the hook, especially when that's their superpower. It's like, okay, you put the superpower out in a way that people were taking advantage of it. So like let's refine it. You know what I mean? Let's not just chop it entirely. That's kind of my point on. And I'm making a big point about that because I think that this is the direction that all these banks are going in. And I don't know. I mean, do we even need to earn so many transferable points? I mean, I think that's that's a question I'm sitting with right now. L-Man game, can Chase save this? I think I just answered that, right? Albert says we all have limited bandwidth to manage couponing. Yeah. I mean, I know Stan the Credit Frog has made good points about that. But he's a little bit more team cashback. I think those of us who are a little bit more frequent, like aspirational travelers, um, yeah, we do try to stockpile points a little bit more. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is honestly, all of this is kind of making me want to go all Wells Fargo and like ditch the Hyatt, ditch all the high. I'm always hearing Luke saying, I could have just the autograph or like just the city thank you cards. I could absolutely kill it. And I'm kind of like, part of me is sort of like, well, just do it then. I don't know. Like, let's try it. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know you don't have to, but that's how my mind works. And so I'm just looking for what's an interesting challenge and what can I get out of that challenge, right? Like, it's not just about how do I get these cool experiences, but how do I enjoy the game along the way? I don't enjoy as much anymore having all these different credits. I'm burned out, and like I've fairly optimized. Like I use card pointers is super super helpful. Um, Anyone who's not using that or something like that, uh, yeah, I mean definitely check that tool out. For me, it's essential. It's how I manage to use all my monthly credits. But I'm feeling pretty saturated on that right now. John says, despite what any other creator says, my reality and thought processes are all that matter. Yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm trying to look at it through the bank's perspective, right? Like, I don't want to be like myopic, like I don't want to be just someone else who's like, I want to get my way, and here's my channel saying, well, this is like, does that make sense? I guess I'm like, I'm trying to find the balance here in just sort of like accepting the way that this game is and not like, not getting caught on like ranting, right? Because it's like at that point, I'm like, I don't want to be in that mode of where I take it that seriously, like once it doesn't feel like a fun creative hobby for me, like, I don't know, learn a musical instrument or something, but yeah, I mean, I think that I appreciate the credit community because it's something that the banks don't know if they do know that it exists. Maybe we're small enough peanuts that they don't care, but I don't know. I mean, I think this is the power of community is pretty important. And I appreciate that we have the Discord servers that we can have places that we can discuss this stuff that we, you know, yeah, can kind of learn how to game the system a little bit without like, I don't know, being unethical or being illegal or whatever that, but it's like, hey, if it works according to the terms and conditions, even if it's something they didn't account for, like, yeah, like give me all the hacks, because like, yeah, the banks are betting on the majority of people using credit the way that most people use credit. And you're dangling the carrot in front of them, and they spend a bunch of extra money to get this carrot that they could have just gone to wherever and bought a carrot. Mesa card. Albert wants to know about the Mesa card. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. I feel like I'm more interested to see what Built does because Built has more integration with the actual exchange of money, whereas Mesa, it's like it just feels kind of arbitrary. Like, and I've heard Frequent Miler talk about this. Like they're all they do is they're like, okay, you have a mortgage. We're just going to give you points and we're going to give you these hoops to jump through. When I see something like that, I'm kind of like, wait a minute. Is this going to stick around? Is it there just because they want to sell you other bank products? And I look at that, I'm like, all right, do I want to waste a 524 slot on this? Um, I don't know. I mean, I like where that's going, and I think it's turning up the heat on Built, who have been lagging. I don't see why they can't. If they can do it for rent, like why is it taking them so long? But I don't know. We know Built loves to shoot themselves in the foot. Anyone who watches Matt Clausen is bared witness to all of the mishaps and miscommunications from Built corporate. But having said that, uh, yeah, I if I known they were adding Japan Airlines, I wouldn't have just transferred a bunch of points to Hyatt because I'm like, oh, I could have booked JAL directly. Ah. So no, I don't know, but I'm watching it. Yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out. Let me know. Let me know if you get it because it's the only option right now. And if you have a big enough mortgage and you like where Mesa is going with their transfer partners, then give it a shot. Rodrigo wants to know if I transferred any more Amex to Alaska. I have not because I already did like 300,000 uh, a while ago, like when they first opened that up. And I was a little worried at first. I was like, oh, did I overdo it here? So now I'm kind of sitting like 400K Amex to 500K Alaska. So I already have more Alaska points than MR points. And, plus because of this AA status chasing, I also have a pretty good stash of AA points. So I'm already like uh, I'm pretty good on the one world system. But I've seen some people who are all one world. I saw one cat on the travel lane. Have you seen like the Sean Lane and his co-host? They have a series and they have a Discord too that's pretty good. But there's one cat on there who's like, I'm one world only. Like he doesn't work on transferable points at all. That kind of blew my mind. But he's like, I can get everywhere I need to go with just one world, and the award charts are the best. And like I get it. I get it because like, this example where I'm trying to fly to Europe next April. I don't know if I'm really going to be going. I know even less if my P2 is going to go, but I didn't hesitate booking that because it was booked with Alaska. But if I had to book that through Air Canada or Avianca, then I got to deal with, all right, I know right off the bat, I'm losing at least $100 per ticket when I go to cancel that. And I have to call in and go through this whole convoluted process. I can't just go log in and click cancel because no, that would be too easy. It's 2025. We don't have the technology to do that yet. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that. So I like that. I mean, I think you should be able to book award flights on a whim, and $100 a ticket. I don't know if it's a sweet enough redemption, sure, but if it's like okay, 75K nonstop to Europe, like that's good. But like last year, I flew 50K Air France points to go on KLM from Amsterdam to SFO. I mean, that's like a 12-hour flight, business class with like one of the more well-regarded business class products in the game for 50,000. Now, I know I'm not going to get that anymore, but I'm just saying it was a little bit more last minute. I think it's harder to find these kinds of outsized values booking this far in advance. And so there's more freedom to do that when you're using a domestic carrier with more flexible and easier booking and cancellation processes that also still have an award chart. So unless AA and Alaska both devalue to smithereens, then I don't know. How all in do we want to go in Alaska? I figured, you know what? At least I can fly Alaska metal with it. And worst case scenario, I'm probably always going to get like 1.5 cents per point for the most part. Not always, but it's kind of similar to United, like United points. It's really tough to get over 1.5 cents, but then all of a sudden, randomly, you'll see it on routes, especially like random like non-hub to hub routes where it's otherwise an expensive cash fare, but like the mileage price, like a $400 ticket might be 10,000 miles, that kind of thing on United. That happens every now and then. And so it's always good to have a stash of miles in every domestic carrier. I don't know about Delta though. Yeah, Delta a little bit, but United more. I see more of those on Delta than United, on United than Delta. Dennis says, don't waste a 524. I'm assuming you mean on the Mesa. Albert, yeah, he also heard from Frequent Miler. Seems a little too new, but maybe they'll light a fire under built to get mortgages. Still researching. Yeah, fingers crossed. Oh, Filmo's betting. You are a gambling man, sir, aren't you? Yeah, he's moving sore MR to Alaska. Well, we're down to the wire, right? We got 8 days. Oh, I almost want to do more. I found this absurd hack that I should make a video on this. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. Do you guys get Albertsons? I know like Safeway's part of Albertsons, and I don't want to talk about this too much because I feel like it's going to get nerfed if it's too popular. But yeah, where you can turn Safeway points into Alaska miles. It's a pretty sweet hack, and I learned about it from Geo Breeze Travel. Her channel is phenomenal. So she interviews someone from Alaska, and so look that up. Yeah, if you want, I can look up that video and leave it afterwards. Leave a link. But I mention that because I don't know. I don't want to get too much FOMO. You know, the game can change, and like, yeah, I just want to go where the earning is the best and the easiest and most optimal, like for effort to reward, and you know. So right now for me, it's actually partly because of that. Like, you know, there's often gift cards. That's kind of the hack. Like you're buying gift cards that are have these promos for extra Safeway points, and then those points, it's like 1 to 2. So like 1,300 Safeway points gives you 700. No, other way around. 700 Safeway points will give you 1,300 Alaska miles, which is pretty great. And you know, they're usually for gift cards, and so you can get your stack on, right? Because whatever's getting elevated earning at the grocery store will work, and then you can get stuff like easily redeemable, like Uber, DoorDash, stuff that you can use on anything. Yuri in the house. Yuri has mastered this game a long time ago. When are you gonna make a channel, Yuri? It's it's a lot of work. Just I don't know. It's a lot of work getting going. I guess once you get some momentum, it's cool. Thankless work sometimes. I'm sure John could speak to that. Someone doing. Let me know if you guys hear some noise in the background. My neighbor's power washing something, I think. What is up? Yeah. Finally summer. Weird climate in San Francisco, y'all. Yeah. So, is there anything else we want to say about status? Like, I'm curious. You know, anyone who's I've made quite a few videos now on status stuff, and you know, like I made one on status matching to United, and I wonder if I should do a follow up on that. I've been kind of predictably disappointed with having 1K status on United. I was kind of hoping that I would be able to at least hit the silver threshold. Like uh, you know what I mean? Like there's 4 levels. I'm not even on track to fly United enough to hit the silver level of status match. Uh, and I just wasn't willing to turn my travel plans upside down. I have too many good redemptions and other things booked that And I always looked for an alternative to try to fly United whenever I could, but I wasn't willing to get a less convenient flight or pay for a ticket that cost twice as much. It's like, just to get silver. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to enjoy the 1K benefit, but like even as 1K, at least flying out of SFO, it's like I haven't even broken the top 10 of the upgrade list. Whereas like with AA and especially with Alaska, I've gotten upgraded on the majority of my flights with Alaska now with AA status, and that's been really nice. Honestly, like it's yeah, I was coming back from a late night from Costa Rica, and that upgrade was super clutch. Rodrigo wants to know about the Avianca Life Miles card. I looked at that pretty seriously. I think that it all depends on how quickly you're cycling Avianca points and how many, yeah, like how many Star Alliance partner flights are you booking? Because if you're not doing a ton, then I think it really isn't worth it unless you're also flying some Avianca metal. Ironically, yeah, I mean they have some pretty good options from Costa Rica, and I've flown them a few times, but they're not really my favorite airline. They're okay. They're a little bit like the Southwest of Latin America, but yeah, their customer service is really not that good. Their cancellation policies. I mean, I know Air Canada isn't really any better. I haven't used Air Canada yet, so I don't know why people prefer them. I mean, their tech is better. Their website's much better. Avianca, every time, like if you want to look for something 10 months out, have you guys noticed this? When you're searching through the calendar, you can't just type the date in. Each time you click the next arrow to go to the next month, you have to wait like 3 or 4 seconds for it to refresh, which doesn't sound like that much. But let's say you're trying to go 10 months. I have to sit there clicking and waiting every 3 seconds for like a whole minute just to get to the date I want. And then I got to do that every time I look for something new. So right off the bat, it's like, come on, guys, your tech is stuck in like 2003. Give me a break. Um, you know, yeah, is that important? I don't know, but it's yeah, I'm curious. Those of you who've used the Aero, um, there's Aero plan. Yeah, I've used Air Canada's Aero plan. Seems like people prefer that. Um, I did see one flight recently. It was Swiss Air, so it was saw a good deal on Swiss Air that was available on both Avianca and on Aeroplan. I feel like I had been seeing Avianca was the cheapest for a while, so it made sense. But now, like on this flight, for example, this was nonstop from SFO West Coast to directly to Zurich, Switzerland. It was 75,000 life miles, but it was 70,000 Aeroplan. And I don't know. I think like Aeroplan, it seems like you have more frequent transfer bonuses from Chase. But then again, Life Miles has a lot of transfer bonuses, but that's a reason not to get the card. And they also seem to have the cheapest point sales. Like I've seen where you can buy their points as low as like 1.2 cents per point, which I don't think I would ever do speculatively. Unless there's something I knew I was going to go on. And that's kind of tough, especially if you like to book far out in advance like I do. And, your work schedule is such that you can't just take off on a whim. I don't know how some of these guys do it. I'm like, how does your day job allow you to, or do they not have one? I don't know. But um, yeah, because it seems like the people who do the best in this game can book those close in deals, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would get the Life Miles card, and I don't like that it's through cardless. I don't know if I don't know if I want to deal with them. I don't know. I don't think the value case is that great for the Avianca card, unless you're just reliably, constantly using Life Miles all the time. And yeah, I don't know. I think you're still better off putting that effort on focusing on transferable currencies. Filmo agrees. Life Miles tech is awful. Could have walked to Chicago. The phone app is faster? Okay, thanks, Dennis. Yeah, I'll check that out. Yuri's gonna make a channel when his kids grow up. All right. We'll hold you to that. We will hold you to that. Yeah, I remember like I said, like last year I booked Avianca. Well, using Avianca, I booked actually United Polaris. And I remember it was what was it, 63,000 miles. It would have been 80,000 United miles. Uh, and I might have had that, but I decided that, okay, I'm going to book through Avianca because this trip was only 3 weeks out. And I thought, okay, I feel pretty confident. I wasn't 100%, but I was willing to take that wager. But it feels, yeah, I mean, just transferring when you're not sure that you're going to act like, I don't know. And I feel like most of the foreign carriers have some kind of cancellation fee unless there's a big schedule change. Like Virgin is just as bad. Like I'm going to London later this year, and I've already had to change that twice. Each time I was on the hook for $100, which was a big oof. But it worked out okay because I was like, it was during that like 40% transfer bonus from Amex to Virgin Atlantic, and kind of wish I'd done more speculatively for that. Like I'm still seeing good inventory, good options, and London. At least you can get anywhere else in Europe really easily and cheaply. So yeah, as long as Avianca doesn't nerf their program, I think next time I see a 30 or certainly a 40, I'm gonna move. That's why I don't want to transfer all of my Alaska. I want to maintain some diversification because yeah, there's some great carriers, great programs that are in SkyTeam and Star Alliance. Rodrigo likes the card. 6.7K miles to fly United between Cali. Interesting. From where are you between Cali and where? Bogota or where we not? Maybe. Albert, I will book close in to replace the redemption I booked a year out only. Okay. I swapped AA Dallas to Haneda with Japan Airlines JFK to Haneda on the new A350, 7 days out. Nice score. Wow. I'm jealous. Yeah, I was on their 777. It was their older business class product. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't think it's the fanciest one out there. I was too close to the galley. I didn't sleep that well, and I was kind of pissed at myself for not bringing. Usually, I travel with those swimmers, those silicone swimmers earplugs. You know, um, yeah, it was really loud. I was right at the front, and that dinner service goes late. I was like, oh man, just need to get to sleep. So it took me forever to fall asleep. Oh, to fly across Cali from north to SoCal. Really? I got to check that out. Yeah, I mean, I've been using Alaska a little bit more. I often find pretty great deals. Yeah, award availability is difficult. That reminds me, I haven't really done any like award alerts for domestic travel yet. I've only been doing it for like more aspirational stuff, but there's certain routes that I know I got to take a trip and there's not that many options, and like especially I'm paying cash, and I'm curious if any of you have or have considered getting the pro version of Points Path. I think points, yeah, for me, like I've been using that as a kind of the middle ground between SeatZero. It's got, I would say, the the quality of the search results is almost as good as SeatZero, but it's a little bit more targeted in its use. I think Seats Arrow, the power is in the filters, whereas Points yeah is a little bit more in the precision where you're like really trying to find options with very specific destinations. I mean, I say that even though knowing they have this feature called Daydream Explorer, which is kind of like their version of deals alerts, and that's something unique to their search. Where if you're flexible about where you go, it's a great way of just like, hey, where are the best deals available right now? Really want to try that, but yeah, I'm curious if any of you want to use PointsPath because I know the pro version of PointsPath. For those of you who don't know, there's a plugin for Google Flights, and it's great for a lot of domestic travel where you always need to look at the cash price because you're like most of the time are paying with cash. It's like I don't want to burn these miles on these poor redemptions unless I'm too flush with miles. Um, I know you can program alerts to let you know when something opens up below a certain threshold. I mean, much the same as you would do with Google Flights for the cash price, you can do the same with points. I kind of want to try that out. If it would encourage me to actually like use that, you know, like I want to take advantage of have like being this flush with Alaska miles because I want to be able to use them for domestic travel, right? Because the stuff that pops up that they get with AA seems kind of random. I don't know. But when you do find it, it's like those are the best deals. I mean, sometimes the best deals are actually just booking AA metal with AA miles, but oftentimes it's booking AA metal with Alaska miles, where it'll be half the price or whatever in Alaska miles, than booking through AA directly. And I just, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you could use Seats. Why not use SeatZero for sure? I mean, but usually with domestic, it's less my parameters are different. I have a specific mission in mind. I'm visiting friends or family, or my P2 wants to take a vacation to North Carolina in this specific month. Um, so I have to be more precise, and so that would be great for setting alerts. It's just a different, my parameters around domestic travel are really different from aspirational international travel. So yeah, that's kind of my next thing that I want to put some effort into. How y'all doing? Those of you who are all on the Anthony's live stream before this, who are still here, yeah. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you could go ahead and slap the like button, I would super appreciate that. Again, yeah, as you know, this is my first live, and it'd be great to tell the algorithm that we had some pretty good engagement. We had a good crew, and this will be YouTube's way of knowing that y'all enjoyed hanging out here for a little while. I think I will wrap up pretty soon, but yeah, this was a lot of fun. It's a little funny being the only one who's talking. I don't know if any of you have ever done a solo live stream. It's a little funny. Like I'm talking and I just see all text, so it's just my own voice. I don't know why that's kind of tripping me out a little bit right now. But yeah, and thanks for sticking around for those 10 minutes of look at Sledges in the house. Salute. What is going on, Sledge Inc. team? I know you all watch his channel, but just in case any of you have not been there for whatever crazy reason, get over there right when this is done. Albert, thank you for the kudos. Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. This was fun. It was good to kind of dive into a little bit, like this is helping to inform what experiments I want to take on and report out on, cuz yeah, I like this hobby is cool because you can really customize it to be what you want. Like how much of an art versus how much of a science. You can geek out on the math, but then there's only so far you can take that before you got to take a step back and just be like, well, what am I doing? What am I headed towards with this? And um, yeah, it's just so interesting. Like each of us came to this kind of niche hobby, but also very mainstream and with big business. So it's kind of a funny duality in that way. I like, and we all have our own backgrounds and hobbies, and coming from pretty diverse walks of life. But for the most part, most of us love to travel, with the exception of RJ Financial. But I've learned a lot from him as well. I respect all of the insights that he gives every week, and yeah. So I've appreciated hearing all your questions, because it's helping the gears turn for me. Like, okay, well, if I'm going to go through this, like, all right, I don't know if this is really worth it for me, but I'm going to take one for the team. I'm going to buy this overpriced ticket on cash that I might, because I really wanted to try out Q Suites. I don't know. I'm probably not going to do that anytime soon. But paying for like a Qatar Q Suites on a cash price, like, probably not. I don't know, maybe a honeymoon kind of thing, but eh. Uh, I took a shower, like, yeah, bucket list. I don't know. I'm not the biggest bucket lister. I don't know. Like, I mean, sure, don't get me wrong. Like, if I have the opportunity to try out, like, taking a shower in the air, like, hey, great, you know, um, that's cool. I don't know. I'm just like, how do I eat good food and get enough sleep? And like, I'm kind of looking at the basics, because, like, yeah, I want to enjoy the experience there, but um, I don't have like too much of the focus be on the transportation. I've know that this has been a popular topic. Like, would you be willing to pay more for the travel experience, the plane experience, or for the hotel experience? Those are some very interesting conversations that came from that. So anyway, that's all to say. I appreciate all of your perspectives, and yeah, I'm kind of wanting to, like, kind of these things I'm doing, sort of crowdsource it a little bit, and see, you know, am I alone in my thinking on my take on a lot of these things, and where there might be some hidden value, and how we can simplify our setups while also still feeling like we're mastering the game. Because I feel like if our setup is too complex, then are we really mastering the game? Like, we're getting a lot of value, but if you have you really set what your criteria are for you, and, like, is this something that is sustainable for you? Are you going to burn out? I'd rather not burn out. Because we know, like, for example, this game keeps changing. These cards keep changing. These programs keep changing. The devaluations come fast and furious. So if I have too much complexity in my setup, how am I going to have any bandwidth left to adapt the game with all of these changes? Filmo, thanks for the kudos. Vincent's got to try out Q Suites. The last minute AA cash booking. Oh, no, you got to try it. You got to try out Q Suites. No, you can. Okay, that kind of. Wait a minute. What am I? So, Vincent, you booked Q Suites with AA on AA cash. Maybe I've been too much in Alaska world. Like, you can't book partner flights with cash on Alaska. Can you do that on AA? Like, you can book partner flights as cash with cash fares? I don't see why not. That's solid. Do you still earn AA miles when you do that? Like, if you put in your AA? I would hope so. Yep, yep. All right. Well, I think that this is a good time to call it. Thanks again so much. Uh, yeah, have a great rest of your Sunday. Happy summer solstice, and enjoy those Q Suites cash fares when you can find them. And yeah, yeah, happy to hear from all you, and yeah, seeing how we can all make this a more interesting and rewarding and fun hobby. So take care, y'all. Peace.